UFC Paris, Gane versus Spivak is this weekend. I'm going to do another prediction and breakdown video for this week's card. Let's get right into it. Kicking us off at bantamweight, we have Farad Bachelorette versus Cledson Rodriguez. Uh, this one's kind of I'm not going to say a layup for Farad Bachelorette. I think he's really good. I think Cledson Rodriguez is a decent fighter too. I think the line could be a little bit tighter, honestly. They have Farad at a minus 320. I think he's going to win this fight. I feel like he's probably going to dominate Cledson Rodriguez, probably wherever the fight goes. I think he's going to easily edge out a decision, probably unanimous 30-27. He's just all around, he's just a level above. Like, Cledson's fought some decent guys, but he's also lost to some decent guys. And I think moving up a division, I think is probably going to hurt him more than it helps him, at least in this scenario. Making his debut at 135, he could have got a little bit of an easier fight than Farad Bachelorette, 10-0 undefeated prospect, really high level guy. I think Farad's just a step above in all facets of the game, so I think he's going to win this fight, probably by decision. Moving up to welterweight, Angelusa versus Reese McKee. Reese McKee back in the UFC. That's exciting. I like Reese McKee. They have him as a plus 160 dog against Angelusa, which I can kind of see, but I think, once again, I think the line should be a little bit closer because Reese McKee does have some tools to win this fight, and it is a winnable fight for him. I do think so. He's a really long range guy with 78 inches of reach at welterweight. It's pretty substantial, especially considering how he likes to fight. He prefers to fight on the outside and throw shots from the outside. And a guy like Angelusa is a lot more of a pocket fighter. I think he does a lot of his best work in the pocket. So I think he's going to have to really aggress and push Reese McKee up towards the cage so we can get in range to land some effective strikes. But I do think Reese McKee is definitely susceptible to being pushed up against the cage and getting some shots landed on him up close, up in more of the pocket range. I also feel like Angelusa could be more inclined to perhaps grapple a little bit. I think that is a. I think I think that's why I'm going to go with Angelusa. I think he has more ways to win. I think he can mix it up a little bit more if he so chooses. If he doesn't choose to mix it up and he just decides to play a ranged kickboxing uh, game with Reese McKee, he could lose. But I'm going to trust in Angelusa to pressure Reese McKee up towards the cage, get in range to land his shots, and perhaps mix it up if need be, perhaps to lower Reese McKee's defenses with like a takedown. I think I'm going to go with Angelusa. I think he's going to squeak out a decision. I think it's probably going to be a 29-28 decision for Angelusa. It's a good fight, though. I do like this fight. I'm actually looking forward to this one. There's not a lot of fights I'm really looking forward to on this card. Uh, but Reese McKee coming back to the UFC, I am pretty excited for. I hope he does well. Jumping up to women's bantamweight, Nora fucking Cornhole versus Jocelyn Edwards. Uh, the line basically has these ladies at even. I'm gonna go with Jocelyn Edwards, honestly. There's not a lot on Nora Cornell. She's 33. Um, Record's not, the greatest. Her level of competition does not impress me, and how she has looked against this competition doesn't impress me. Jocelyn Edwards isn't exactly a world beater of a fighter, but she has beaten and fought women who I think are generally decent fighters. I think Jocelyn Edwards is UFC level. I don't think Nora Coronel is. Simple as that. I think Jocelyn Edwards will probably win a decision pretty easily. I feel like she's just that one step above. I don't feel like Nora Cornell, Cornhole, whatever the fuck her dumb name is really that good. Another fight at women's bantamweight: Zara Farin versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. God, that is hard to say. Um, this one's kind of a no-brainer. Jacqueline Cavalcanti seems like a pretty solid prospect. She seems good. Now, they have her at a minus 380. I wouldn't fucking lay chalk on that ever. But this seems like a layup. Zara Farron's 6-5. She's fucking 39. If Jacqueline Cavalcanti doesn't win this fight, I would be very shocked. Jumping up to featherweight, we have Morgan Charrier versus Manolo Zachini. These names on this card, man, are fucking brutal. Um, Morgan Charrier is a guy who has a lot of regional fights. Um, he's kind of a back and forth regional fighter, but he does have some talent. And he does have some skill. I'm not sure how far I think he can go in the UFC, but I think he's definitely above like absolute bottom of the barrel trash tier UFC fighters. I think he can pretty easily handle Manolo Zachini. Um, Both of these guys have quite a few finishes on their records. However, when I look at Morgan Charrier's level of competition and the guys he's fought on the regional scene, I think they're just a little bit better than the guys Manolo Zachini has beaten. I also think that I just think Morgan's gonna bully him in there. I think he's gonna mog him. Quite frankly, I think he's just gonna walk him down, um, and probably get a finish. I don't favor Manolo's style matchup into Charrier's. I think Charrier will be able to get a finish on him by TKO. I do think. Probably in rounds one or two, honestly. Moving up to bantamweight, we have Janus Gamori versus Longrin. This is a fight I also was kind of excited for. These guys are two young guys, two pretty decent fighters making their way into the UFC. They have Longrin as a minus 320, and I'm going to be picking him to win. Both of these guys are pretty decent fighters, pretty good all-arounders, but there's just some certain physical attributes that Longrin seems to have that I think are going to melt Janus Gamori in this fight. He's just a fucking house. Like he's two barn doors wide. He's a fucking midget, but he's built like two deep freezes stacked on top of each other, and he is fucking strong. I was looking at some of his regional performances, and his strength is insane when he gets in grappling exchanges with these guys. It looks like they don't even know what the fuck they're. It looks like they're fighting a water buffalo. You know what I mean? This guy's just a little tank of a man. Um, and I think he's just gonna manhandle Janus Gamori. He's got a fucking cement brick for a fucking head. I think it's just gonna be really hard for Janus to fucking get Longrin to respect him. I really think it's gonna be hard, and I think Callan's just gonna bulldoze him. Honestly, I do. He's beaten some pretty decent guys recently. A couple of guys who were like, I'm pretty sure undefeated until they fought him. Um, yeah, I think Longrin's probably gonna get this one done by TKO. Moving up to light heavyweight, Vulcan Oozdimir versus Bogdan Guskov. This is an interesting one because I don't really know that much about Bogdan Guskov, but I do know a lot about Vulcan Oozdimir. Um, they have Vulcan Oozdimir as a near 2-1 favorite, and I'm taking Vulcan Oozdimir just because there's a couple of intangibles that I think are important to mention with him, and it's that he at this point in his career, he's only 33, but he is a veteran. He has been there and done that with some of the absolute best fighters in 205. And recently, he's been to, I believe, a decision with Nikita Krylov, and I think I rate that, even though he lost, very highly. Because if Nikita Krylov isn't finishing you, you're doing something right. Because Nikita Krylov is a very prolific finisher, and if he can't finish Vulcan Oozdemir, I don't think Bogdan Guskov is going to be able to. The only guy in recent memory that has really destroyed Vulcan Oozdemir and finished him was Yuri Prohaska, making his debut, similar to Bogdan Guskov. But I don't think Guskov's on the level of like a guy like Yuri Prohaska. I think Vulcan Oozdemir is seasoned enough, experienced enough, and skilled enough to be able to handle this guy. Vulcan's a very tough fighter. He's very durable. He's very strong with his grappling defense. His legs are huge. He's a strong fella, and does have that knockout power. He can hit you very 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 hard. Um, I just don't think Bogdan's ready for a guy like Vulcan in his debut. I really really don't. He's a big guy. He's got knockout power. Big Russian dude. Could upset, but I don't think so. I'm gonna trust in the experience. I'm gonna trust in Vulcan Oozdemir to get this one done. Probably by I think a late TKO, like a round three TKO. I think he wears on him. I think he finds a finish. Moving up to my most anticipated fight on the card, Benoit Saint Denis, Thiago Moises. I fucking love Benoit Saint Denis. He's fucking awesome. Um, I'm gonna pick him to win. I think both of these guys, Benoit and Thiago, have very, very good grappling, very similar grappling levels. They're both very talented. They both can get takedowns. They both can do great jujitsu. So I think when these guys meet in a grappling exchange, I think they're probably going to get into an exchange one time and be like, "All right, we're evenly matched. I'm not gonna grapple with this guy because I feel like their grappling is going to cancel each other out, and it's going to get into a kickboxing fight. I feel like that's what's going to happen. And if that does happen, I definitely favor Benoit Saint Denis in a kickboxing fight over Thiago Moises. He's the bigger dude. He's the younger dude. He's got more reach, and I think his kickboxing all around is just a level above Thiago Moises. Thiago Moises has this tendency to wilt a little bit if a guy's really throwing a lot of shots on him. He did it with Joel Alvarez, where he just kind of stood there and like backed up to the cage and just put his guard up and just got teed off on. I feel like if he does that against Benoit Saint Denis, he will get finished on the feet. So I'm going to take Benoit Saint Denis probably by like round two TKO. Jumping up to women's flyweight, Manon Firat, Firat, I cannot say French names for the life of me, versus Rose Namajunas. Um, I'm going with the beast. I'm going with Manon Firat. Um, she's bigger, she's stronger, she's a lot meaner, but I think the most important thing is that I feel like she has her head in the game. Like I feel like she's dialed in. I feel like she's like, I get this fight, I get a title shot, and I'm going to be the champion. She's got that hunger, whereas I don't think Rose Namajunas has that same fire anymore. Um, she hasn't really competed or done anything besides a grappling match against Jillian Robertson, which I do believe she lost. She got tapped. Um, Her fight with Carla Esparza was an absolute joke, one of the worst fights of all time. And she's such a head case too. It's like everybody knows that she's kind of like a fighter who gets into her own head a lot, and I just feel like if she's not 100% there, this is not the matchup she should be going into. I feel like she's got one foot out the door, so to speak, if you know what I mean. Like I don't feel like she's as in it as somebody like Manon, who's hungry, who's chomping at the bit to get that title shot. You know what I mean? And I feel like Rose isn't going to be able to score any takedowns on her. I feel like Manon is too big and too strong. Her cardio holds up very well. Her fight against Caitlin Shunigan, uh, like Caitlin makes a lot of fights with very high level women's fighters competitive, but she kind of got swept by Manon. Honestly, I think this is a bad matchup for Rose. If Rose shows up and she's dialed in, sure she could win. I don't think that's what's gonna happen. I think Manon's just gonna just run through her. I really do. I'm probably gonna go with a Manon decision, probably maybe like a 29-28. Maybe Rose gets one round. I'm thinking. Jumping up to the main event, Ciryl Gane, Sergey Spivak. Now they have Gane favored, which is surprising to me because of how his last fight went. I'm going to be picking Ciryl Gane, but I'm surprised he's the favorite. Sergey Spivak has put together a little streak. He's looked pretty good lately, but I was one of the people who picked Ciryl Gane to beat Jon Jones. Just logically, I feel like you had to pick Ciryl Gane to beat Jon Jones, but it obviously didn't go well. He got taken out very quickly and submitted. But like, just because I picked him to beat Jon Jones and he lost, does that mean I'm now going to be like, oh well, he can't grapple, he's going to lose to Sergey Spivak? No. I think Ciryl Gane is going to beat Sergey Spivak for a couple of reasons. Sergey Spivak has very good grappling. If he can press a guy up against the cage, if he can get a guy cut off, he's got very effective grappling. I don't think he can do that with Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane is too elusive. He's too athletic. His movement is too good. I don't see Sergey Spivak getting respect on the feet and being able to press Ciryl Gane up against the cage to go for a takedown maybe with his clinch work. I don't think he can do it. And I don't feel like Sergey Spivak is a guy who can shoot a double leg at range very well at all. And I don't think if he does shoot a double leg at range, I think Cyril Gane's a little bit too evasive. I think he's gonna dart to the side. And I trust him. I trust Cyril after that John Jones fight. I think that was kind of an eye-opening moment to him. He's like, fuck, I need to work on my grappling. I think he's gonna come back improved. I really, really do. I think he's an athletic freak. I think he's a monster. I think he's going to make the improvements necessary, and I think he's going to TKO Sergey Spivak in the second round. That's my pick. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope we sweep the card as always. Uh, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.